Hello and welcome to Farrell's Notebook. Now, if you have been watching my videos, you know that I got this amazing vintage photo album a few months ago while visiting some of my best friends. And this is so exciting to me because it has the memory of that trip, but also all the inspiration of something brand new and unique. I have never seen mixed media done in a photo album before, and so I'm kind of just following my instincts here. I'm going to start by taking out the little photo tabs and start creating my background. So I know I want a lot of texture today. So I'm going to start with this piece of collage that I have. I made this forever ago with a brayer, a stencil, and some texture paste, and I loved it but haven't known what to do with it. So we're going to just use it in the bottom layer today. I'm also going to use some old vintage book pages and some super heavy gesso to give this first layer as much texture and satisfaction as possible. So I have a question that I would love your opinion on. Will you let me know in the comments, when you are watching a mixed media or art process video, do you like a voiceover or no voiceover? I think personally I like a little bit of both. I like when there's like a little bit of a tutorial element so it feels approachable, like, oh, I could do this, or like I understand what's happening. I also love to hear the meaning behind what someone's creating, but then at the same time, I love when there's just time to like watch the process with some music playing. So I'm going to do a little bit of both in this video, so a little voiceover and then a little just of the process. And one thing you'll notice is that I really did not speed much of this up. All told, this probably took me about 45 minutes, and it surprised me how fast the next layer came together. And I just want to say, prepare yourself, because the way that it starts looks completely different by the time that I am done. Now I am using matte medium here, and then I switch over to matte gel, which is a little bit hardier just because this is not mixed media paper, right? This is like old, kind of fragile photo album paper, and so I'm about to put it through a lot with all this texture and paint that I'm putting down, and so the matte gel became the right thing to use by the end, I realized, because it kind of helped stick all this paper down on the page a little more firmly. I am going to add even more texture to this page by using my catalyst wedge and some super heavy gesso, and I am just going to scrape that across the page. And I don't know, there's something about vintage paper and white gesso that just makes me so happy. The look of those words and scraps of paper peering through the white is just amazing. And so this part was so fun because it was just what I knew would be the texture that would be the background of what was to come. And honestly, one of my favorite things about mixed media is you never can predict another artist when they're making mixed media. You can never really predict what they're making and what choices they're going to make next. And I think you're going to see that on this page, that it feels like it looks nothing like this by the end, but at the same time, every single layer and every single little spot shows through in the final product. It's so exciting to me. Now, I know I said that this page took me 45 minutes, but the caveat is that I needed it to dry after this first layer. So this was not 45 minutes in a row. I actually did this over 2 separate days, but you could always use your hair dryer or drying tool to dry. But with the super heavy gesso and all this texture, I needed it to be completely dry before I did the next layer. And let me tell you, I highly recommend scraping a catalyst tool through super heavy gesso to make these grassy lines, because this was so much fun. Okay, after letting this page dry for a while, I was finally ready for the next layer, and I was really craving these 2 specific colors, a dark turquoise teal color and then an orangey red. And these, I think, were inspired by autumn, the color of a really dark fall sky and then the colorful leaves. And so these were honestly just, these 2 colors were stuck in my head. So I took out some of my paint and tried to mix up what I was picturing. And so on this palette, I have turquoise, raw umber, black, white gesso, and then I forget the name of this red, but I went back and forth to try to create these 2 colors that I was picturing together. And the finished product was pretty close to what I had in mind. And it's always really fun to just play around with colors, to put them next to each other and see how they would look. And it's also really simple if you decide that you just have these 2 colors that you want to bring out in your picture. It helped me to be so decisive and quick with my final layer. Like, I knew when I was done and I knew exactly what I wanted to create. Now, before I put down this dark color, I actually put some water on my paintbrush and covered the page, and that's part of why I needed everything completely dry, because this is going to be a wash. And the purpose of a wash is, for me, it's one of the best ways to show off texture. And so I wanted to cover the page with this dark turquoise, and then you'll see me rub it back, and it reveals so many of the lines of the texture, the paper, and is just the perfect addition to this awesome background layer that we created. So part of this art journal page is that I made a mistake twice, where I had accidentally dipped this paper towel in black paint, like it accidentally got on it, and I ended up just smudging it all over the page, and not on purpose. I don't know if I would have been brave enough to just put black paint on this paper towel and smudge it across the page, but once it was down, I kind of loved it. It added to the moodiness, and I always love when there's moments like that in my art that I couldn't have predicted. So now I'm going to take some of that raw umber on a palette knife, and I'm going to use that to make even more grassy pieces all along the bottom of the page. All right, here is the moment that I was waiting for, because exactly what I pictured was this color on top of that deep turquoise blue, and it did not disappoint. I used all different tones and shades of this color to just make some quick abstract flowers or leaves or whatever it is that you see. And it was so satisfying that this was the color scheme that I was looking for, and that this journal page could come together so quickly and be something that I was so into. It's time to finish this page off with a few darker black stems and leaves and grass here. I'm going to use this to try to tie everything together, and then I'll come in with some of that turquoise at the end and just darken up some of the areas that need it. But this page was so fun because of all the texture and because of how it was a vision that turned out how I wanted, and the process was so fun. As always, I hope that you watch this and you are inspired to go make some art. This is your reminder that there are over 40 tutorials waiting for you at ko-fi.com/takeheart. With a monthly subscription, you can access every tutorial plus 2 new tutorials every month. They're all beginner friendly with a theme that you can apply to your life. Check it out.